Greetings everyone and welcome to Keeping Up with Papa Life After Work, where we find out how one man manages to keep himself busy, physically active, and mentally engaged after retirement with projects. Today's project, well, I've been putting this one off for a while, but I think it's probably time to go ahead and get started on it. The pop-up camper has a crumpled fender side. Need to fix it. Check it out. This is where I'm wrong. Welcome back, and as I stated, I have a dented fender here on the corner of the pop-up camper. Now, we bought this camper used, maybe 8 months ago, knowing that it already had a dent here, and it also has another dent on the other far corner from here. This is the worst of the two. My intent is to repaint the entire camper. It's got issues. Someone painted it before and really didn't use the right kind of paint, so it's not really done all that well. It needs a good paint job. But before I can do that, this needs to be addressed. Again, it's primarily cosmetic, but hey, let's make it look pretty if we can. Now, a friend of mine is a retired body tech, and he will be helping me do this, or at least coaching me through it. He's not here today, but I thought I would go ahead and get started on at least maybe breaking down the corner, seeing if I peel this panel back a little bit, and take a look at what's inside. One thing that does present a bit of a problem is that this is the water heater. In order to pull this panel off, I'm afraid the water heater is going to have to come out. So I'm going to see if maybe I can get around doing that by just pulling this out enough to get into here and bang this out and straighten this panel. And it's a bit of a long shot and maybe wishful thinking. No harm in trying. I'm going to get started. Here, by the way, is the other corner that's damaged, and it's not really anything like the one up front. This is where they had a mounting point for the awning. That was an aftermarket that someone put on, I believe. And this got snatched out. When it did, I think it caused this to get crumpled. So maybe it'll do that without any kind of real disassembly to speak of. However, early on, before I even got the camper here, we had to take this whole back panel off because there was an issue with the crank that was fixed on site at the previous owner's home. So you can see here what's involved. It really is just a series of screws that come out. Okay, these actually are rivets, screws, rivet, rivet, screw. I put the screws back, knowing that at some point I'd be probably pulling this all back apart again. Then along the top here, you have rivets that hold this panel in place. So realistically, it's just a matter of taking out the screws, taking out the cover piece, which goes through here, and then drilling out the rivets and get to the panel. Somehow or another, I don't think it's going to be that easy on that other corner. Step one is removing this insert material. I bought a whole bunch of it already for replacement, so it's stored away for the time being. So what I think I'm going to do, if I can, is cut it out. And I may, if this works, I'll get a knife, utility knife, to do the work rather than a pocket knife. See how that does. Aha. There you go. Okay. Should have done that in the first place. So you can see now this just comes right out. And I'll just do a little repair work on that. And I don't know if you notice that, but it actually slides into that track. And down here, that's got a screw holding it. So now, actually, these are all held in with screws. That's good. That's much better than having to deal with the rivets. I like that. Yeah, I was getting behind the entire track. It's going to be fun reshaping that. Shouldn't be a problem, though. So this is caulked into place. Gently pop it out so I don't ruin it. Alright. So now this panel is riveted on, not necessarily attached to this panel everywhere. Yep, this definitely folds under here. Here it's not attached. Here there are rivets holding it in place, so it's going to have to be drilled out. I also need to drill out all these rivets. Probably even take this whole corner piece off here. But rivet, a couple more on the way down. If I'm fortunate, I won't have to do that. I can probably pull this on off. That'll be pretty easy. Then when I have the panel completely loosened on this end, hopefully I won't have to get this out of here. And by the way, I called this a water heater earlier. It's not the water heater, it's the heater for the building. So my hope is not to have to pull this whole heater out, but if that were out of the way and I had everything loose on this panel, I could pull this whole panel back, and then there should be a frame piece in here somewhere, and bend that frame back out somehow, and then straighten this piece and put it all back together. But to do that, that's probably going to have to come out of the way. That is one dull bit. So the drill was giving me a hard time the other day. I've worked on it, and apparently it's giving me a hard time again. I went in and worked on the trigger, got it running, and now it's just decided it's just not going to trigger anymore. I kind of knew it was at the end of life, but bad time for it to go bad. Well, resolved that issue. A quick search online. I found out I could get this set up from Amazon for pretty cheap. Ace had a special deal going on. They were right down the street, so I ordered it online from them to get $40 off. I got this whole setup for right at $92, $93 plus tax. A little over $100. Same basic drill, exact same drill, except that this one is not brushless, which really doesn't matter to me one way or the other. Charger, 2 batteries, and here's the battery from the other one. Works perfect. I'm back in business. However, it's about 98 degrees out here right now. That's not an exaggeration. And the sun is working its way in this direction towards me, where I'll be working on the end of the camper. So I'm going to try and go ahead and get the balance of these drilled out just to see what I've got. Then I think I'm done for the day, or at least until the evening comes around and it's cool enough for me to work out here. Let's go take a look at it. That one obviously not even hooked up anymore, but well, actually it is. It's hooked up to that panel. You know what? I'm going to leave that there. These, which are screws that are self-tapping, are all on the bottom there. I need to go get a head so I can get those out. 5/16 socket. At this rate, I'm going to have every tool in my kit down here with me. Great. Alright, can't reach that. It's loose, it's just stuck. Alright, that's about all I'm going to be able to do without removing this. Okay, following inspection, this may be working out in my favor. There's a frame piece that runs across down here. It's perfectly straight. This frame piece is perfectly straight. What is bent is this piece of metal and this piece of metal. Anything else that's structural that would be a framing piece doesn't exist in this application, which is kind of odd, but it is in fact the case. So there's no framing that has to be bent back. I thought there would be a piece of framing right in here that was bent, but the structural part of it is that panel. And there is in there, I can see a piece of framing, but it's not bent. It's fine. So what I need to do is bang this back into its proper shape all the way up to here and pull this back out a little bit into its proper shape. So I think what I'm going to do is kind of clean all this up and leave it and let my buddy who's the retired bodywork tech come and take a look at it, and he'll make some suggestions, and maybe we can knock this whole thing out in short order, get it back into decent shape. That would be nice. It is kind of ugly. Earlier today I had a consult with a friend of mine who's a body guy, a retired body guy. And he said, yep, no problem getting this dent out over here, but we've got to get this panel right here out of the way, this silver front panel. So that involves a number of screws that are down here, and then this piece has to come off, and the far corner piece that matches this has to come off, and this whole thing should drop down. Let's find out. I think there are like 3 of these total, and that's it. The other side came off easily. Hopefully this one does as well. Just butyl tape holding it. Sweet. Saving all these screws, but I will not reuse them. These are all self-tapping screws. I will buy new ones. I kind of want to be a little careful not to damage. I'm sure I could find it out there somewhere, but I don't want to find myself in a position where I can't find it out there somewhere. That would be good. Well, there's a rivet, and there's a rivet, and there's a rivet. Time to remove some rivets. Well, there's a sheet of styrofoam that runs all the way up. Thought there might be a surprise, and it's glued to the styrofoam. Okay, you can see here the back of the diamond plate, and it transitions to the regular panel, and there's that styrofoam. It continues on up. So it's possible we have enough working room to get in here and bang this out. So I have 2 options here. One is to remove this entirely, which means I raise the roof up, drill out all the rivets across the top, and then pull this panel completely out of the way. Or maybe we can actually make this work. There might be enough room to get in there with a couple boards and some hammers and straighten this thing out. I think for the moment we'll leave it like it is and see what happens when he comes around next week to do the repair.
Yeah, it's going to come out, but it's just going to take a lot of work.
A lot of whacking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well that's cool. Don't cut yourself, dude.
No, that's what you're going to have the glove for. Yeah, you're going to have that glove.
Yeah.
But just on that line.
Mm-hmm. Just kind of work your way up and down it.
Yeah. And then as you get This is okay, this little one,
Yeah.
but you know, you're gonna have to have a bigger one as you progress.
Okay, like a 2x6.
Yeah, or a 2x4 even.
Okay.
You know,
A longer one.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I've got one right there in the back of the cart.
And just, you know, maybe put it like this way, you know.
Okay.
That way you can get structure. If you put it like here and have it go like inside, and it'll ricochet off the inside of the thing and help you. All you're looking for is support. You want to go inside. You see where that crack is, thing?
Which crack?
Well, the one in here where the foundation is in here.
Yeah.
You know, have it go inside that.
Okay, so if I put it behind the frame, between the frame piece and the wall,
yeah,
a wide one.
Yeah, it'll pull it.
It'll give you stability.
It'll give you stability out, you know, pulling out, and that's actually where it needs to be anyways.
It's now up against the wall.
Yeah, now you can put your glove on.
Yeah.
I'd put your glove on and make sure that's stable.
Stays where it is.
Yeah. And then, you know, just on that line, and I mean really hit it. Don't. Yep.
It's bending out.
Go figure, huh?
Got big old dents in it, but it's bending out. Okay, so right there you see the frame, and then you see a gap between the frame and the wall, and that gap is about 1.5 inches. So putting in this 2x6 gives me exactly the right depth I need to bang this out. All right, so per the gentleman that knows what he's doing, 2x6 back here. I'm going to put one on top of the other. I don't believe it's working. Probably I'm going to have to bend this right here. I have to be careful not to aggressively bend it. Might be able to push it out. It's worth a shot. Let's see. That is a whole lot better. Now what I might do, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can shape it a little bit more. I might let Tom do the final touch-up. He knows a lot better how to do this than I do. But this piece here is cocked out. It needs to pull in. This, you got a little dimple here. That should go away. Oh yeah, I see his point. So if the board comes out over here, it'll maybe get rid of some of this indentation here. So right now the board is in this area. Wow, it helps. And you know, this doesn't have to be perfect. You know, perfect would be nice, but a little beyond my abilities. One thing I do have is this is in the way. Oh yeah, that might help. So now this board's coming in right here. Look at that, straighten that up really nicely. Put this second board on top of that first board, but turned sideways. Alright, it's butted up against the heater now. Alright, let's do a dry fit here. Whoa, massive massive difference, huge difference. A little more dressing out, and that's going to be perfect. It takes a little bit of a dive in this way and comes back out. As you can see, a bit of the seam left over here. But this big piece of the seam, which is the bad part, is flattening out pretty nicely. So I will work that some more, and then using Tom's concept of having a bore back here behind, I'll bang on either side of this crease, which will force this crease back out in this direction. And maybe, just maybe, we'll have a really good looking box here when we're done. I'll show you the final when I'm finished. All right, I have spent another 10-15 minutes kind of pecking away at this, and all I have left really is a little indentation that runs down through here where this was all folded back. I can't quite get rid of it myself. I can get it to go away, but then it immediately just pops back, so the metal has taken a memory along here. I'm extremely pleased with the way this is turning out. It really looks great. Tom should be back in the area later in the week, so I'll have him take a look at it and see if he has some kind of trick on how to get that the rest of the way out. Tools of the trade, I had a glove to protect my hand because I was up in here. One of these dead blow hammers, a bunch of blocks of wood. Really didn't get to use that in any, but I did use this and got in behind a little rounded spot here, and doing what Tom told me. I ran it up against the rounded spot from behind and then tapped the edges, and it pulled back out, and it's pretty much very close to being perfectly smooth. I'm really pleased with the way this is turning out. Tom may be able to improve on it so it's even better, but once this gets painted, it's going to look great. One more area of bodywork that needs to be addressed, and that's right here. Something was mounted here and it pulled out. I don't know what that third hole's from, but I want to see if I can pound these little extrusions back into place. And fortunately, this area has come off recently and been removed, so all I have to do is unscrew this piece of trim, and I'll be able to get right in there, I hope. Let me show you what was there before. This is it. This is what was on the other side. It's a mount for the awning. You know what? Now that I'm looking at this one, you can't see it from this angle, from your angle, but there's two screws here, and this is all bent out too. So something, probably the wind, caught the awning at some point and ripped it out of here. I don't even know that this is supposed to be here. This is maybe something aftermarket that was put on. I haven't seen one anywhere online that has mounts for the awning feet at this point on the camper. I did set the awning up one time. It actually worked really well tying into this. Of course, there wasn't one on the other side, so it wasn't a fair test. Anyway, that's what was over there. There's a bar that runs up from here which supports the roof, and that actually presses up against that bar all the way. I probably shouldn't really need to support it from behind. I can use that for support. That's working. Not perfect though. One more time. Wood under there. I'd rather bang on that. Yep, I could. That works. Working. Be patient. Nice. Pretty good. I just need to file this sharp bit off. See if this wood's back there. Oh, check it out. It's flattening that out quite a bit. Very good. Sweet. We're good. A little filing here. We'll fill it a little bit. Back in business. Well, that's a good start. And it did. Now what? So won't just be able to pull this back out of the way because this is here. All this would have to come off first. That's a lot of work, but you know, it may be necessary. It just might be. Doesn't look that difficult. Just a few screws. You know, it's one of these deals where it takes me longer to make a decision than it would be for me to do the work. You know, it would be nice to have this door out of the way anyway when I'm doing all the body work, other body work. So, and it's correct, and it's just best to do this correctly. So let's see if this will come off easily. See if this will come off easily or if it's wishful thinking on my part. Eight. I can get one side loose. The rest of it will just peel off. Okay, so there's something to pry that with. Good, promising. Excellent. A leftover piece of board here, small one, it happens to fit pretty much perfect right there. Slipped it in. See if we can bang this out. That's helping a lot. It's not quite getting there. I think Tom said this, don't be gentle. That made a difference. See what it looks like. Well, that's better. Well, we're in good shape. Good start. I'm gonna take a look at it with Tom later and see if he has any suggestions on how to smooth this out a little better. This dent, I believe this dent is about as good as it's going to get. Tom, the body man, stopped by and took a look at this one and the one on the other corner. He said, yeah, that's probably fine. I did, however, peck at it just a little bit more here by putting a block of wood here behind it, holding it really steady, and this time just using an actual metal hammer. And I was able to drive these points in pretty well. Reminder, what goes there is this clamp. Now, is that clamp really supposed to be there originally or not? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. But this is for the poles from the awning to come down. And apparently it has ripped out once because this hole was ripped out pretty bad. This has got two holes in it. So somebody moved it over just a little bit. So this is the second set of holes here. And that's where it was mounted when I pulled it off. Altogether, I think we're in pretty good shape. I also came in underneath because during all that process I had bent out this area down here, which is now poked down or bent down kind of at an angle. Pounded that back up into place. When I did, it pulled a lot of this out. If I decide once I've painted it or cleaned up the rest of the way that I want to try and get rid of it, I could use undercoating and I would get a little bit more of this stippling back as opposed to Bondo. I don't really want to Bondo it. We'll see. This seam also is pretty much as good, I think, as it's going to get, and Tom is in agreement with that. We've got a little bit of a crease that goes in here when I slide this into place and rivet it all back down. It'll pull that out just a little bit, but compared to what this was a week or so ago, this is really trivial. Now, I've been back behind here and tried to take a block of wood kind of at an angle and bend this back around so the seam would go away and kind of just be flat. It just doesn't want to do it. It's taken a metal memory set in this particular level right here, and you know what? This is the way it's going to be. It really looks so much better than it did originally. I believe once it's painted, you'll just barely be able to notice it. This is the other awning mount location. So these two holes are where that awning bracket was, and this was just completely missing. Ripped right out. You can tell from the way this looks that those screws just pulled out and the thing's gone. So it probably got caught in the wind somewhere at some point. This dent, I don't really know what that dent is, but it is definitely a dent. And so this one, once I've stripped all this down, I will easily be able to fix with some of that lab metal that I have, the liquid metal or paste metal. There's a little bit of an indent right here for this, and this right here is bent down real bad. I'm thinking that maybe, just maybe, if I'm lucky, if I'm able to drive this bend back up, it'll kind of push that out. And there's not a lot of good ways to do that. I think what I'm going to do, you know what, might be better. Let's run this hammer up against it and bang away at it, because I can't get at it any other way. A lot of this under here is bent. Oh yeah. Yeah, along here this fold over is flat. Here it was all torqued down. Still torqued down right here. Much better. So, with that pulled in and riveted or screwed, I've still got a little dent right there. What I think I'll do, it's sharp here where the screws were pulled out. I really can't get back behind it and get anything in there to bang that in. So I'm just going to take a Dremel and smooth it off again after I've cleaned everything up, and put a little bit of that lab metal in here and just try and rough it up a little bit. Lab metal by itself is rough anyway, so that really shouldn't be a difficult thing to do. Good, we've got a plan for this one. Well, that's it. Another project within a much larger project is completed. Something like this, restoring an old camper, repainting it, it's all done in small steps. It's kind of like that old saying, you know, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Well, I have just taken one more bite on restoring this old pop-up camper. Next step will be the completion of all the stripping and sanding and cleaning up of the aluminum walls all the way around, and then painting. I am really looking forward to seeing this done. It's going to be very nice looking. Well, thanks again for watching, and as usual, questions and comments, and in particular advice, are welcome. Please remember to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on Keeping Up with Papa, Life After Work. Papa out.